Good evening, students. Today we are going to discuss the topic implications and contrapositive statements. So the reference for this lecture is the book A Foundation Course in Mathematics written by Ajit Kumar, Professor S. Kumresan and B.K. Sharma. This book is available on Rosa Publications. This is a very good book. You can have a look at this book. The viewers are advised to see my first two videos on statements and logic. The link for these two videos is available in the description. So you can go through that. If you will go through the first two lectures on statements and logic, then you will be able to understand the topics of implications and contrapositive statements. So let us start. So we are going to begin with implications first. So let us consider the following statements. I'm going to write few statements. The first statement that I'm going to write is, if the apple is red, then it is ripe. Okay. The second statement that I'm considering is, in case the bakery is open, I will buy a cake for you. Right? And the third statement that I'm considering is, the two boys stay in the same house if they are brothers. Okay, so these are three statements that we are considering. Okay, and all these statements are very easy to understand because we all know that what are statements, and so we have chosen three statements of similar kind, right? So if you notice that all the three statements that we have considered are consisting of two statements, like, so here we say the apple is red, then it is ripe. Okay, if the apple is red, then it is ripe. In the second statement you should see, in case the bakery is open, then should write, then I will buy a cake for you. So again here are two statements, and the third statement is also containing two statements, that is, the two boys stay in the same house if they are brothers. So you might have noticed, it is very clear to see that all these three statements are involving, each of these three statements is involving two statements at a time. Okay, and moreover each statement is implying the other statement. So this is a very important thing that you should see, that one thing, each statement is consisting two statements, and secondly the statement itself in the given statement is implying some other statement. Like here we are saying, if the apple is red, then it implies that it is ripe. Okay, second statement says, in case the bakery is open, then this implies I will buy a cake for you. And the third statement says the two boys stay in the same house. This implies if they are brothers. So all statements are consisting of two statements, and further in each statement one statement is implying the other statement, right? So these statements are of this type. For two statements S and T, we have something. What do we have? We have if S, then T. If there is one statement, that implies the other statement T. Okay, and this kind of statements are called, this kind of statements are called implications, because one statement is implying the other. Implications or conditional statements. So these kind of statements are called implications or conditional statements. Okay, so I hope one idea is clear, that whenever we have a statement of the type if s then t, okay, if s is true then t is true, okay, these kind of statements are called implications or conditional statements. Now next we need to look at when an implication is true and when it is false. Okay, next we shall look at when an implication, or you can say conditional statement, is true and when it is false, right? So we are going to consider one statement for this, so it will make our job easy. Okay, so consider the statement I'm considering the following statement. It is, if the apple is red, then it is ripe. Okay, so if the apple is red, then it is ripe, means first thing you can take it as my statement S, and second it is ripe, this you can take as statement T. So if S holds, then T holds, right? So now we have to think about when this statement is going to be false. When this statement is going to be false, we want to look at it. So next, consider this statement. So clearly, the above statement is false. When the statement is false, if S holds and T does not hold. Please focus. I'm saying, so we have considered a statement. We want to see when this statement, when this implication is going to be false. Okay, the statement is, if the apple is red, then it is ripe. Okay, I say if S holds and T does not hold, then my statement is going to be false. Okay, so clearly the above statement is false. Under which condition? If, under which condition it is going to hold? So if the apple is red, if the apple is red and it is not ripe, correct? So please focus on this. So whenever we are going to look at when this particular statement is not going to be true, means when it is going to be false. So for that, it is not necessary that this should not hold, this should also not hold. No, we will look at it like this, that one thing is true but the other thing is not true, right? So this is the way how we are writing it. For this statement is not going to be true when, if the apple is red and it is not ripe. Okay, so I'm going to write another example so you will understand better. Consider one more statement. So I'm taking one more example. So consider, sorry, I'm going to take one more example of the same type. So consider another statement. What is that? It is the same statement that we talked earlier. If the bakery is open, then I will buy a cake for you. Now please think about it. The first part, I can take it as my yes. And the second thing, I will buy a cake for you. This is my T. Okay. So this is a statement of the type S implies T, right? If S, then T holds. If S holds, then T holds. So when this statement is going to be false, so this statement is going to be false if the bakery is open and I am not buying a cake for you. Okay, please listen carefully. This statement is not going to be true, or it is going to be false if we notice the bakery is open, but I did not buy cake for you. Okay, so this statement is going to, the false statement is if the above statement is false. Under which condition? If the bakery was open and I did not buy a cake for you. Okay, so this statement is going to be false if this thing holds, right? Even when S was true, T is not going to be true, right? So this is a statement. So the above statement is of the type. So thus, the above statement is of which type? S implies T, means if S, then T. Okay, thus a statement of type if S, then T, means if S is true, then T is true. Okay, so is false when it is false in the case I'm changing color. So when it is going to be false, it is going to be false in the case if S is true and T is not true. Like the bakery was open and I did not buy cake for you. Okay. And secondly, the apple is red, and it is not ripe. Okay. So it is of the same type. Okay. So that means the negation of, so if the initial statement is, if statement is of the type if S, then T, so its negation statement is going to be S and not T, which means S is true, even then T is false. Okay, so truth of S does not imply T is true. Okay, so this is the negation of this statement, right? So I hope you might have seen how implications are working. So if we have to negate an implication of the type if S then T, then its negation is going to be S is true and T is not true. It is not necessary that you will say S is not true as well as T is not true. No, you need to falsify the implication part. So if S is implying something, okay, if S is true, we want T is also true. To negate that, what do we want? S is true, okay, but T is not true. So please remember this particular thing. We have used the same thing in the last two statements. I'm just recalling. The first was if the apple is red, then it is ripe. So its negation is if the apple is red and it is not ripe. So it negates the actual statement, right? So under this condition, the original statement is not true, it is false. Secondly, if the bakery is open, then I will buy a cake for you. So you can look at the falsification or negation of it. If the bakery was open and I did not buy the cake for you, okay, means if even if S was true, T is not going to be true. Okay, so this is the way how we are going to negate the implications. Now, the next important thing is to look at one more thing, that is there are few equivalent statements. Just notice this. This is very important. There are few implications that have the same meaning. Okay, just remember this note. This is very important, because if we have certain kind of, like I'm saying, if s then t, so similar kind of statements may appear with different implications. So please note all these implications have the same meaning. Okay, I'm writing number one. So if I write if s then t, there is one case that we have already seen. Number two is t if s, it is also the same thing. Okay, t is true if s is true. Number three, s implies t, same thing, s implies t. Fourth thing is s only if t. I'm not writing that this is true, this is true. So that means I'm talking about if s is true, then t is true. Okay, t is true if s is true. S is true implies t is true. S is true only if t is true, right? Number five, t is necessary for s. Okay, for t to be true, it is necessary. Truth of t is necessary for truth of s. Okay. Number six is s is sufficient for t. Means truth of s is sufficient for truth of t. So these are few implications that statements are equivalent to each other. So these statements are equivalent, right? So next we are going to proceed. I'm writing, before proceeding, I'm writing one more example for you so that you get better idea. So let us talk about it. I'm considering one more statement. Consider a statement. So consider one more example. This is if a student is good in mathematics, then he is humble. Okay. Now just see, it is also containing two statements. What is that? One is student is good in mathematics, and the second one is student is good in mathematics is one statement. Secondly, it is implying what? He is humble. This is my t. So this is a statement of the type as implies t. So this is my given statement, right? So can we negate it? It is very easy to negate this statement. If we want to negate it, so we are going to talk about this, that s is true and t is not true. So how to write? It is very easy. You can also think along. So that we are saying the student is, s is true. That means the student is good in mathematics. The student is good in mathematics. For falsification or negation, we want the second statement should not be true. And he is not humble, right? This is the way how we are dealing with these kind of implications, right? So I hope you might have got the idea. So next we are proceeding to the converse of implications. Converse of implications. So now I hope one thing is clear, then what is the meaning of an implication, and secondly, how to negate an implication. So now we have already seen in an implication there are two statements S and T, in which one statement implies the other statement, and if we are going to negate this statement, so if we are, oh, okay, I can take it P and Q. That is better because I'm writing as for my statement. So suppose there is a statement P that implies Q. There are two statements. Each implication is including two statements in which one implies the other. Okay. So if we have to negate it, the negation of this statement is going to be P is true and Q is not. Okay. So now we have to think about the converse of the implications. So what is the meaning of that? We know that each statement which is an implication or an implication statement contains two statements. If P then Q. It is of the type if P then Q, right? So what is the converse? It is very easy to think. So if we are moving from left to right, okay, what is the converse? We have to move from right to left, okay? So if P then Q, okay? So that means what is going to be converse of this? If Q then P, right? If Q then P. That means if my original statement is going to be P implies Q, then its converse is going to be Q implies P. So I'm considering two statements now. Consider following two statements. See these statements carefully. Consider following two statements. The first statement that I'm writing is if the apple is red, then it is ripe. This is one statement, right? Second statement I'm writing, if the apple is ripe, then it is red. Now go through these two statements. Please try to think about these two statements. Take 5 seconds. The first statement says if the apple is red, then it is ripe. And the second statement says if the apple is ripe, then it is red. So you can see it very carefully that these two statements are converse of each other, right? So number 1 and 2 are converse of each other. So these are of the type P implies Q and Q implies P. Right? So these are of the type. So if I say, so one statement is, so P implies Q. The second statement is Q implies P. Right? So such statements are called converse statements. Right? So this is the converse of implications. If one implication is saying one thing, the second implication is saying the same thing in the reverse way. Okay? The second implication is showing the converse implication is giving the same result in the reverse way. Okay. If we say one thing holds means apple is red, then it is ripe. And second is if apple is ripe and then it is red. So same statement has been written in the reverse way. Okay. So these kind of statements are called converse implications. Next, we are going to move to another important thing, that is if and only if statements. In mathematics, we notice that most of the theorems and important results are either containing implications or they are of the type if and only. So we are going to use these things in our daily courses. So that's why it is very important to understand the meaning and how we are going to deal with them. Okay. So all these things are very, very important. So next I'm going to talk about if and only if statements. So first of all, we are going to consider two implications. Consider the following two implications. The first one is, if the student is sincere, then he is humble. The second thing is, if the student is humble, then he is sincere, right? So now it is very easy to see that statements 1 and 2 are converse of each other. Okay, so clearly statements 1 and 2 written above are converse of each other, right? So now what is the conjunction of these two statements? Now we need to think about what is the, so we need to think about what is the conjunction of these two statements. One and two. What is the conjunction of these two statements? One and two. Now please recall that we noted a fact that statements that are implications, there are few equivalent things using which we can write it. I'm just going to recall it. Just see. In this note, I have stated, if we have an implication of the type if S then T, then there are several equivalent things that we can use. T if S, S implies T, S only if T, T is necessary for S, T is sufficient for S. So I'm using this note, I'm going to write these two statements. Okay, what is that? In view of note on implications, we may write above statements as, so we write these as, number one, the first statement was, the student is sincere, then he is humble. Okay, I'm going to write it as, the student is humble if he is sincere. See it carefully. The original statement is, if the student is sincere, then he is humble. So I have written it in the other way. The student is humble if he is sincere. The same thing. Okay. And the second statement is, if the student is humble, then he is sincere. So I'm writing it as, using that note, I'm writing this statement as, the student is humble. If you notice, I'm writing the statement, same statement on the left side. The statement is humble only if he is sincere. Right? Now we can combine these two statements and the conjunction follows like, so thus the conjunction of number 1 and 2 is written as, so now most of you might have seen that how I have rewritten these two statements, the original ones. So I can combine these as, the student is humble if and only if he is sincere. So the statement, the conjunction part becomes the student is humble if and only if he is sincere. This is the way how we can write two statements that are converse of each other in the conjunction form. Okay. So similarly, if I have statement of the type, the apple is ripe. Sorry. Yes. The same statement. If the apple is red, then it is ripe. And the converse, if the apple is ripe, then it is red. Okay. Then this statement can be written as, the second thing I can write it as, the apple is red if and only if it is right. Or you can write the other way also, no problem with that. Okay, so think about it. So it is very easy, just think about it. Okay, so now you should notice one thing. So I'm going to write a small note on this. So this note is related to the if and only if statements. So whenever we are talking about if and only if statement, so that contains, that is actually conjunction of two statements, okay, that are converse of each other, of the type S. S implies T and T implies S. So that can be combined as S if and only if T. Okay. So this is conjunction of two statements. So I can write. So you have S implies T and T implies S. So then these two can be combined as S if and only if T, or you can write S if and only if T. That means S is true if and only if T is true. Okay, this is one thing that you should notice. Second thing that you should notice is the statement S if and only if T. Whenever I'm writing S if and only if T, means S is true if and only if T is true. Okay, so can also be expressed as so the next form that I'm writing, this is something that we are going to use in mathematics again and again. That is, T is necessary and sufficient for S. Okay, this is another thing, another notion that we use in place of if and only. Okay, just remember this part. You may be uh, using this again and again in your coming courses. Okay, so I'm writing one example of if and only if statement. It is like this: an integer p strictly greater than 1 is prime when a positive integer greater than 1 is prime if its only divisors are 1 and p, right? So the statement is, an integer p strictly greater than 1 is prime if and only if the only only divisors of p are 1 and p, right? So this is a standard definition. This is actually the definition of prime number. So this is very easy, and you might have seen it also. Okay. Now we are proceeding to the next part. What is that? This is the most important part and highly useful while writing the proof of various theorems and understanding various concepts. So that is contrapositive of implications. Contrapositive of implications. First of all, I suggest you to please understand what is the meaning of contrapositive. Okay, so for this purpose, first of all, I will consider one or two statements and then we will think about the contrapositive, right? So no need to worry, it's very easy concept. So consider the following statement. Consider the following statement. The statement is, if the boy owns a BMW car, then he is rich. Okay, this is one statement that I'm writing. Now, please see the second statement. This is also important. Be very careful while looking at these two statements. The first statement is, if the boy owns a BMW car, then he is rich. Okay, so if somebody is having BMW car, then obviously he is going to be rich. Okay, this is not possible that a person owns a BMW car and he is not rich. Okay, so this is given statement. Secondly, the second thing then that I'm going to write is, so be very careful while looking at this statement. It says, if the boy is not rich. Now see, if the boy is not rich, if a person is not rich, can he own a BMW car? You obviously know somebody is not rich, he or she cannot have a BMW car. Okay, so if the boy is not rich, then he does not own a BMW car. See it carefully. Now, the first statement says if somebody has a BMW car, then he is rich. This is true statement. Second thing, if the boy is rich, not rich, then he does not own a BMW car. Okay, so if you notice, both of these statements are equivalent statements. Okay, so if somebody has BMW car, then obviously he is rich. Only then, if he is rich, only then he can buy or own a BMW car. Okay, the statement, first statement is, if the boy owns a BMW car, then he is rich. That is true, correct? And on the other hand, now we are starting with the right part first. If the boy is not rich, then he does not own a BMW car. Obviously, if the boy does not have enough money, he is not rich, then how he can be having a BMW car? Okay, so now you notice both of these statements are equivalent statements and they are called contrapositives. Okay, so I'm just writing, note that these two statements, 1 and 2, are equivalent. Okay, means they have the same meaning. Okay, that is, they convey the same meaning, right? That is, statement number one statement is true if and only if one statement is true, is the if the second one is true. Okay, so such kind of statements are called contrapositives, and these are highly useful in mathematical proofs. Okay, so I will write it first. So these are statements of the type that if S then T. Okay, if S then T. If S is true, then T is true. Or I can write if S is true, then T is true. What is the contrapositive of this? So if we have to look at the contrapositive, so its contrapositive is, it follows like, if not T, then not S. If not T, then not S. This is the way how we proceed. Okay, so these two are again two equivalent statements, and these are known as contrapositives, right? So I will take two examples so that you can understand the meaning of contrapositives. One thing you should understand or note is that if you are given one statement, say yes, it is if P then Q, right? Then its contrapositive statement is if not Q, then about it. So if I say P statement is if it is raining outside, then it is wet outside, right? So if it is raining outside, then it is wet outside. This is my original statement. Okay, so what is the equivalent statement of it? I'm not going to negate it. Be careful. Okay, so if I have to negate it, you know how to negate it. For negation, we will go the other way. Okay, but now we are going to look at its contrapositive statement. I'm calling it CS. That is going. What is its contrapositive? Its contrapositive is going to be if it is not wet outside, not Q, then not P. If it is not wet outside, then it is not raining outside, right? So if you notice, both the statements are equivalent to each other. So if it is raining outside, obviously there's a lot of water flowing on the road. Okay, and if there is no water flowing on the road is not wet. Okay, then it is not raining outside. So both the statements are equivalent, and these statements are called contrapositive statements. Okay, so you need to look at this thing. This is very important thing. And we are going to use these statements again and again in mathematics. Okay, so I'm taking one more example that you might have seen in your 12th class and first year class. I'm going to write that. What is that? That statement is if a function is differentiable, if a function is differentiable, then it is continuous, because we know every differentiable function is continuous, right? So now, what is the contrapositive statement? Okay, one thing is every differentiable function is continuous. That means this is something that says differentiability implies continuity. Okay, so what is the contrapositive statement? So if I want to write its contrapositive statement, that is if a function is not continuous, then it is not differentiable. Okay, and you will notice one thing: the statement and its contrapositive statements both are true at the same time. Okay, so means if both are, if S is a statement and second is its contrapositive statements, if one is true, other is also true. If one is false, other is also false. That means both are at the same time true, or both are at the same time false. Okay, if one is true, other is also true. If one is false, other is also false. Okay, so I'm writing one more thing that is very useful for us. The example number 3. There are so many places where we are going to use contrapositive statements to prove something. Okay, so I'm writing one thing. So you all might have seen the definition of one function. Okay, so but for proving one function, we are not going to use a exact definition of a one function. We are going to use its contrapositive. So I'm going to write it. So if we are given a function f from x to y, here we are assuming that x and y both are non-empty sets. A function f from x to y is said to be 1 1 if for every pair of points x1 x2 in x such that x1 and x2 are distinct points, we must have the image of these points under f should be distinct. We simply say a function is 1 1 if distinct points in x have distinct images under f. Okay, so this is the way. But while proving the function is 1 1, it becomes difficult for us to follow this procedure. So we use the contrapositive of this. Okay, so what is the contrapositive statement? Contrapositive is going to be of the type that if we say P implies Q, right, then its contrapositive is not Q implies not P. Okay, if not Q, then not P. That means here we want to show that for distinct points in X, the images of the point should be distinct. Okay, but its contrapositive is going to be if not this. Not this means if f of x1 is equal to going to be f of x2, then we must have x1 is equal to x2. This is something that we are going to use. What is that? So the contrapositive of this follows like this. For all x1 x2 in x, if so here it was if x1 not equal to x2, then this. If f of x1 is equal to f of x2, then we must have x1 is equal to x2. Okay, so we take that there are for two members x1 x2 in x, the images are same, then we show that the members are also same. So this is the contrapositive statement of that actual definition of one function, and we are using this thing for proving a function is one, right? So this is the way how we can make use of contrapositive statements. I try to quote one or two examples, but you can look for more examples of this kind. Okay, so we are stopping today. So that's it for today. Please go through this lecture carefully, and I hope you will be able to learn all these things, implications and converse of an implication, and finally the contrapositive statements. Thank you so much.